Modern analysis typically treats this physical process and the claims of Quranic theology as isolated epistemologies, distinct languages describing the same reality but never allowed to intersect. The Dual-Caustic Universe model identifies these as a single thermodynamic and informational field. It treats scriptural descriptions as operational parameters for the behavior of light and matter. This model operates on a continuous Möbius topology. Here, quantum indeterminacy and classical determinism are not separate laws, but opposite phases of the same geometric structure. Moving past symbolic interpretation allows for a rigorous examination of this field. We can now map the specific thermodynamic mechanics that govern the transition from information into form. Every operation within this field begins at its central axis, the horizontal line of the model. This is the decoherence zone, or the B node. It is the environment where wave potential, characterized by a finite decoherence time, resolves into measured physical reality. The theological mapping identifies this phase transition through the concepts of Isa, Earth, and the Quran. They function as the identical boundary condition, mediating between the two caustics. This regulatory state is defined as the Mulk of Solomon. It is the zone where quantum superposition, the speech of birds, is balanced against deterministic classical mechanics. Earth functions as the active quantum measurement device required for the universe to resolve these wave functions. The system operates under the 2-3-7 structural constraint, 2 dual caustics, a 3-node wave potential, and 7 layers of cosmic completion. The upper loop functions as the deterministic engine of the universe, driven by sound and wave compression. At node 3, the input signal enters. This represents defined intent, or the fire source, anchored to the Tree-Ibrāhīm. The signal proceeds to node 6, the execution phase. This is the domain of space-time mechanics and physical motion, mapped to the node of Dāwūd-Iron. Finally, at node 9, the action crystallizes. The process resolves into a measured, unchangeable reality that interfaces with the central buffer. Science measures this cycle as Newtonian physics, calculating work through space and time. The Quranic lens witnesses the same process as the true deed. Both frameworks describe the same state, 9 crystallized sound, where intent has successfully transitioned into a stable physical record. Regulating the transition from node 3 to node 9 is the depressed qubit engine. The cross diagonals represent the tension within the field. The 4-to-1 axis imposes the binary boundary of Razim, while the 5-to-8 axis allows for the continuous flow of Rahim. The invariant law of this cube is numerical. Regardless of the internal path taken across these diagonals, the opposing pairs, 4 plus 5 and 8 plus 1, always sum to 9. This mathematical closure suggests that while the internal path varies, the system is constrained to a single terminal output. Diverse agency is permitted within a framework that requires eventual resolution at the 9 node. Below the decoherence zone, we find the lower loop, the phase-inverted mirror of the deterministic engine. This domain operates on light and vibration. It is governed by indeterminacy and quantum superposition. The 3-6-9 sequence here begins with the wave source at Tree-Mūsā, moves through the buffer interaction at Aḥmad-Iron, and collapses at the lower 9 node. Science defines this as the emergence of light through particle-wave duality. Revelation witnesses this informational state as the Book of Light. The lower invariant cube follows the same mathematical logic as the upper, ensuring that the light vibration sequence remains structurally stable. This indicates that quantum indeterminacy is a structured state. It functions as a chrysalis, maintaining information in suspension until it resolves into a measured outcome. The flow of information between these two fields is governed by buffer directionality. The upward arrow tracks quantum potential crossing the buffer to collapse into classical, deterministic measurement. The downward arrow maps deterministic cause and effect opening into the indeterministic descent of revelation. The transition point where wave function collapse occurs is the exact membrane where both 9 nodes converge on the buffer. This implies that the transition from wave to particle and the descent of revelation into history share the same operational mechanism. Fully assembled, the Dual-Caustic Universe model functions as a single, holistic field. We can trace data traveling through the upper loop, crossing the buffer, and inverting through the lower loop in a continuous, unbroken Möbius path. The 3-6-9 sequence exhibits modular invariance. No matter the number of iterations, the digital root returns to 9, establishing a closed cycle for the system's energetic and informational states. When these thermodynamic loops synchronize, they produce constructive interference, a state defined in the model as light upon light. The universe exists as a phase position in an oscillating swing between wave and vibration. Science and the Quran are two distinct lenses observing the same architecture. Empirical science measures the physical boundaries of the system through the left caustic. Revelation witnesses the internal informational flow through the right caustic. The Dual-Caustic Universe is a self-referential processor. It is the junction where physical sound and divine light recognize each other as a single, unified reality.